actually prepare and come on at the same time.
Woo! Yeah. Look
Thank
at
you so
that,
much for
friends. We
figuring this
are
out.
live. Woo woo.
We are here, and we're gonna have some fun conversation today. And the topic is around the independent woman mentality, which we'll hear from a woman. My name is Joseph Arthur, and I'm excited to have my friend. We're gonna call her Dr. J today. Um, I've learned so much from this woman, and we've just developed such a great relationship. But I don't want to tell her story, so I'll let her introduce herself. Dr. J, come on, tell everybody who you are. Let
Right.
them know.
Independent women is what we're talking about. I'll just say guilty as charged. My name is Dr. J, as Joseph said. I empower leaders, visionaries, disruptors, change agents in disrupting the status quo, and most importantly, while maintaining their health and well-being and coming back to the ones they love the most with a spirit of joy and happiness. So that is what I do for work. I've worked in education, in government and politics, and high-tech industry, and have truly learned how to turn a mess in life into a masterpiece. My daughter and I just made a big dream come true, moving to some acreage here in Colorado in the country, and absolutely loving this discovery. Yet, woo, if there was a time I need a man, oh boy, I think I found it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Like you've got such an incredible journey. And how did we get on this topic? I remember I was just in Chicago, about a month ago, and a friend of mine from high school, recently engaged. She's got a 12-year-old, so she's been a mom, but was recently and just recently engaged. So I'm having the conversation, having dinner with him, and I just simply said, "What have you learned about each other that you didn't know before?" And she said, "Well, so I've played this mom and dad role with my son. I've gotten so independent to the point that my now fiance had to ask me, 'Do you even want me around?' Which stopped me in my tracks, as in, have I gone too far with this whole I'm so independent mentality with like what's going on?" And that prompted deeper questions, as you all know. So fast forward a couple of days later, Dr. J and I are we're on the phone and we're having this conversation, and it got to a point where we're talking about independent women. So to start off, the first question I have for you is one, when you think about this movement, this idea, this mentality of independent women, do we has it gone too far? Like, share with us where you stand, what you think. Come on.
I'm like, oh boy, has it gone too far? Do we independent women watching want to own that? We've gone too far. I don't know. I'm a disruptor, so I'm like, yeah, I always like to cross the finish line and then some. I'm an achiever, right? Yeah, we've gone too far. That's what we do. I do think you notice it. I even noticed it the other day on my Peloton ride. There was a song, I believe it was by Miley Cyrus, and she had said, I can buy myself flowers. I can take care of myself. We're now even so proud we're singing about it, right? There's a really interesting book titled Manning Up, How the Rise of Women Has Turned Men into Boys. And in that book, the author talks a lot about how, as independent women, we now have a generation of men who really don't know their place. They don't know where they belong. They don't know how to contribute. And so I really think that this is creating some disruption in the world that's not positive.
Wow.
But you're now sideways. If
you said what?
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason my screen is locked and I don't know why, but that's okay.
That looks better for our viewers, just to...
Okay, we'll keep it this way.
So I do think it's probably safe to say we've gone too far. You see it in songs, you see it in relationships that are totally torn apart. You see it, sadly, in our children. This was a real hard place for me when my daughter, she has a childhood friend whose mom did in vitro and has twins. So her close friend from kindergarten, she's now 12. So these two have been a dynamic duo for 7 years. and she's seen me as a successful independent woman. She sees my friend as a successful independent woman. She sees no men in these homes, and
Mm,
one day she said, "Mommy, I'm going to be like you when I grow up. I'm going to have kids, but I'm not going to have a man."
wow.
And
Okay.
I thought, oh shit. Like
Oh,
that was that moment when you have that, oh, I've taught something unintentionally that
yeah.
I did not, I'm very intentional as an educator about what I'm teaching my daughter. I
Right.
did not mean to teach her that.
Wow.
So
Wow.
we're failing. I think
Wow.
we're failing miserably.
You know, gosh, I just have to say this. I appreciate just your level of transparency and even like it shows the maturity and the growth that you've done to even be able to identify it, to be able to pinpoint it, and also just to see how it's continuously being conditioned in society. Like the song you just brought up, which is so real. It's so true. It's like, I don't need a man, go buy me flowers, I'll buy me flowers. It
Yep.
sounds
Hey,
fun.
I'm 99 by my own flowers.
Right. It sounds funny.
Not even about that, right? And I appreciate you acknowledging that because it makes my armpits sweat a little bit to own this level of vulnerability, right? Be like, woo, we do that. And I think I heard Lewis Howes use the words mask of masculinity, and I
Yes.
made my own facade of femininity. And I think we pull
Ooh.
down the facade of our femininity and say, it's okay to. Just the other day, I had a neighbor. This is a really awful little disclosure about life in the country. There are critters that get into your walls. I'm a city girl. I did not know that was a thing. I was like, I hear a scratching keeping me up at night. It was terrifying. I turned to Google wondering what it could be because, of course, an independent woman could tell this. And I saw some horrific things. It was so scary. I saw it could be raccoons, mice, birds. And I was like, holy cow, I got critters in the wall. Again, ladies, it's okay to be a man every once in a while. And so I texted a neighbor the next day and said, I heard something in my walls last night. I did some Googling. I'm a little afraid. What should I do?
Yeah.
And interesting aside, in the spirit of vulnerability, I just got laid off and 2 days later diagnosed with breast cancer. So I'm on a mission save money, which luckily ain't my first time being on a budget. So as a single mom on a solo income, I've done that before. So I was like, I could call Roto-Rooter and just pay someone because that's what we independent women do, right? I've even been guilty of telling myself, only men
Right.
in my house are for hire, baby. Like, I'll pay you, you come do your job, and then you leave. And that's a really unhealthy and toxic mindset. And I've
Mm,
done that before, right? And so I texted my neighbor trying not to pay Roto-Rooter and waste money. And he brought over some, I honestly forget what they're called. They're these little things that trap the mice. And bait box, that's what it's called. So anyhow, he places them, and I was just so grateful. And ladies, I just want you to know when you let
mm. Wow.
someone help you, own that implies you got to own you need help, right? For me, it took a critter in my wall for me to own that I might need some help. So you got to own that you need help, and you also have to embrace that, and then just with gratitude, be like, "Thank you," and no, you're not burdening someone, right? That it's a
Yeah.
joy for us to, as humans, help one another, and that it's okay to receive some help. And woo, I got to tell you, this cancer journey, I have people helping me all day long, all the time.
Wow.
And
No,
it's
that's
beautiful. I feel like it's this return to home in our hearts that I would wish for every independent woman to say, let's lower our guard just a little
mm.
bit and
Woo.
invite someone in.
Wow. That's good. And even just to add, my encouragement to anyone watching this is if you're touched, you're triggered, you feel some strange emotion, my encouragement to you is to stop for a moment and just ask yourself why and where is this coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Because the point of this is not to devalue anyone. The point of this is not to make you feel bad. The point of it is really let's have these conversations because as you know, we were talking on the phone before we decided to go live. It was just how many other people can we help with this conversation? And if we went live, that's the whole point of this. So if you're triggered, you're touched, you're feeling the point of it is not to be bashful. It's just, let's just get real. Let's look in the mirror and bring this topic off. But if I can
That's
ask you,
what I love that you said that I think every woman needs to hear. Joseph said something to the effect of, I ain't gonna get in some power struggle with a woman about who's boss. I ain't got time for that. And I was like, dang, I didn't even know I was doing that, right? I didn't know that my independence, which was, as Joseph said, I invite you to, I want to reiterate that, go back to where this came from. And again, in the spirit of vulnerability and helping others, I looked back and went, where did this come from in my life? As we were talking, and I realized it came from when my daughter's father said, I want you to keep the baby.
mm,
And then he wasn't there for me.
wow,
He didn't show up to child care facilities. He left me hanging and looking like a fool. He broke my heart to a place where I truly thought I would never recover from. And I mean, I literally used to tell myself, man, that man almost destroyed me, but I didn't let him get me down, right? And from that moment, I started building walls. No one will touch this heart again. I won't ever trust a man with my uterus again. I won't. You build this narrative of strength that is beautiful. I've learned how to be, the best lesson I ever learned came from knowing there ain't no Prince Charming coming to save me. And those of you who are independent and have reached that level of wealth of, the top 2%, 5%, 10%, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You really quickly, I think a lot of women, they will tolerate BS with men because they have to financially. And for those of us who said, nope, I'm going to find another way. I was like taking pride in becoming the man and the woman of the house. I took pride even whenever I sold my last property to purchase this place. I told my daughter, I said, see, you don't need a dual income home. You use your real estate to make your second income, and then you build your career, honey. Because I didn't want her to be in the trap that I saw, right? My own journey started with that pain of being abandoned and pregnant, driving my baby girl home by myself. That was not a dream that I had. And that's where Joseph and I really formed a strong bond of sharing that pain with him. And he helped me realize that that wasn't my fault, that it was that dad is hurting, right? When he said, I want you to keep the baby, I heard what I wanted, which is we're going to do this together. Right. No, what he said was, I want you to keep the baby. He didn't say, I'm going to be there for you. I made that for myself. So I think we have to be really discerning when we look at behaviors and be more selective about who we allow into our heart. Because guess what? When we're brokenhearted, sometimes desperation's in the driver's seat, and that's where all bad decisions are made. So A, ask yourself that, right? Am I operating from a place of desperation, or am I operating from a place of discernment? And does man meet my criteria? Ladies, I have a decision-making matrix that now helps me qualify a candidate that might make his way into my heart. And that gives me strength, right? So be clear, having that clarity of who is deserving of you. That was part one. What I also realized, though, is I started to get envious in those moments. I would look around and see good dads. And so this comes back to analyzing, where did it come from, right? That one moment was helpful to analyze. But then I realized I had to dig deeper. You hear the phrase, peel back the onion, right? That's only the first layer of tears. There's more, right? The more was I was seeing all these great men who were amazing dads. And I was wondering, why couldn't he have been that for my child? Then I got mad at him, right? And I got envious of the men who were good dads. And then I started to tell myself a new story. And that story was, all the good ones are taken. So then you write that chapter of life, right? First men are shit, then all the good ones are taken. And then you go, wow, I will just do it by myself, right? And this is literally what I wrote in my journal. I gave up on true love and became the man and woman of the house. Whew. I didn't really give up. That dream has always been there. It's just buried pretty deep beneath caring for my daughter and career growth. Those are the places I hide from the depths of that dream. So I also ask you, ladies, are you hiding, and how? Because it's easy to hide in your career. It's easy to hide behind your bank account and your success. It's easy to hide in the spaces of the frantic packing lunch, getting the kids
Yeah.
to the door, trying to manage the minutes so that you can be really effective and efficient with your time. But I do think we've gone too far and we're hurting and we don't even pause amidst the busyness to say, here's what I'm really longing for.
There is so much to unpack from that, all you just shared. And again, for anyone that's listening, the point is, where can you gain strength from this? And I truly appreciate how, Jennifer, you literally just went from not being the victim to being a victor, and that continuous growth, and to see the projection, progression. Um, Wherever you are and whoever's watching this, the point of it is really, again, dig deep. And how is it affecting your environment? Because it's not only affecting you. And the moment we're able to get to that place of transparency and vulnerability and truth, we start to trust us enough to be able to grow. And standards are set higher because we're growing. And that's exactly what you see right here. And I couldn't even thank you anymore for sharing that. But, as we even just come, because we want to make this short, sweet, what would you say, if for anyone that's watching this, someone that's in that mentality of, I got it all, I could do it all, struggling, challenged, don't even know where to start because gone so far, I don't know where to start. What would you give? 3 tips, ideas, something to do to help start to uncover the layers and start to work towards this mentality that has really hurt a lot of people.
Yeah. I'm going to lean into someone I admire. I consider her a friend, but I've never met her and she doesn't know me. Her name is Whitney Houston. And she says, learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. And I think that's where all of this starts is that we're looking externally for love. And then when that fails, we have nothing to fall back on. Right. And so it's self love. And as I was researching and preparing for this, I thought to myself, I wonder who's the leading expert in self love so that I could find something smart to say. Turns out I didn't find anyone. So maybe there's our new niche. However, I did come across these words. Let's see here. Self compassion. Be
Mm,
self passionate. And what I loved about that is it's beyond love, right? When I was first diagnosed with cancer, I told myself, it was like battle fight, and I was so overwhelmed. I was like, I want compassionate cancer because compassion is empathy plus action, right?
yes, that's good.
Feel for yourself. Allow yourself to feel. Brene Brown teaches us in Atlas of the Heart, there's 87 emotions. So maybe instead of just happy, sad, mad, which are the 3 commonly cited by people, really dig deep into what you're feeling
Yep.
and learn to love yourself. That's where it all starts. Look in the mirror. Here's a simple thing, right? Look in the mirror. What do? We criticize.
Yep.
We might look at, my hips are too big. I don't like my muffin top. I'm starting to see wrinkles on the sides of my face. Those are smile lines, baby. You keep smiling, every memory is associated with that. So find a shift to
Yep.
see the beauty every time you look in the mirror. It's Mary J. Blige, another one of my favorites. She has this song, Just Fine. Put that
Mm,
on and rock out. I like what I see when I'm looking at me and I'm walking past the mirror. I would just like sing that to myself. And
yeah.
so really focus on that compassion and self love that can help you love yourself. That's going to be the foundation from all of it. Joseph asked for 3. I'm an overachiever, so I couldn't afford I got 4. I didn't
Let's
do it
go.
because he told me to keep it short. So number 2 is without that guard. Let that guard down. What is it that
Mm,
you really want? Right?
yeah.
If I'm being honest, I really do want to lay in a man's arms at night. I really do want to be out in these fields. I don't even really know what it entails to maintain this stuff. I'm still kind of new here, but like I want to be doing that together with someone.
Right.
I want
Right.
to be sharing that joy and having a true friend and confidant that's different than my girlfriends.
Mm,
So ask yourself, what do you really want? And list those criteria. And then, ladies, you do not stray, you do not make exceptions there. And then the third is, this was the most powerful in my shift, was coming across this research on two powerful words. It was research conducted by Dr. Vanessa Patrick, who's a Bauer professor of marketing at the University of Houston. And its two words are, I don't.
Mm.
So what I told myself is, I don't speak negatively about it. Period. It's easy to get together with our independent girlfriends, start whining and complaining. Everywhere I looked, I saw unhappy marriages. And so we've got to be really careful about that. The research on the words I don't, because this will help those of you who try to drop some pounds, who are trying to set a goal, any goal you have. So she found that when participants framed a refusal as I don't, so I don't eat chocolate, I don't eat foods linked to cancer, I don't speak negatively about men, whatever your I don't is, instead of I can't, they were more successful in resisting their desire to eat unhealthy foods or skip the gym. Saying I don't was 3 times more effective than saying no, and 8 times more effective than saying I can't.
Interesting.
Think about what that means. I can't find a man. I won't find a man. I don't speak negatively about men. What you're really doing from a neurological perspective is you're programming your reticular activating system, which sits right back here, kind of at the base of your brainstem. Because when I believed men were worthless pieces of shit, or when I believed every marriage was unhappy, guess what I saw? My reticular activating system said, oh, that's important to you, I'll look for it for you. So I have to tune into a different channel. The bonus one is because I'm a geeky scholar. So John Gottman is the world's leading researcher on relationships.
Okay.
I've always found it interesting that my coaching clients, they ask for help with relationships, and I'm like, bro, shouldn't you ask someone who's in a good one? Like, I don't know why people ask me about relationships, but I'm a scholar, so I do know, I've studied what makes relationships successful. What he found is that if a relationship does one of these 4 things, it is likely going to fail. So I want you to also just identify if you're in a relationship right now that's toxic, because a lot of us as independent women, we choose that toxic relationship because we can control it. It stays outside of the guard that we've got up, right? Like castles, we've created a moat, and ain't nobody getting through that except when I extend the drawbridge, right? I've been guilty of that. And then I'll withdraw that quickly, right? And imagine that being love, right? Your drawbridge of love, and you bring it up. You don't really let anyone in. You're finding the men who are wrong for you because you're not going to get them in close enough. You may not even know that's happening, right? I didn't know that was happening over, so and so, so and so, and so and so. If you're watching this, you know who you are. My ex, this is true, right?
Yeah.
That I had a guarded heart in those relationships, and that's a very, very difficult place for a man to try to be. And so I invite you to be on the lookout. Those 4 horsemen are criticism. Like, are you criticizing your partner too much? That starts with yourself. Go back to self-love, point 1. Contempt, just a general meanness. If there's a mean-spiritedness there. Defensiveness, that's typically a response to criticism, right? So criticism comes first, and then I'm on the defense. And then the last one is stonewalling, which is just where you withdraw and shut down from interaction. So,
so good.
He's present in the relationship you have. It's probably a time to look in the mirror and practice some
So good.
Learn how to love yourselves.
So good. And wow.
I feel like we packed a college course in about 15 minutes.
I think we did. And again, I just want to thank you for even your willingness to go there, because transparency, vulnerability are some of the toughest things that most people in their whole life just never go. And we hang on to this pain, we hang on to this hurt, we hang on to this narrative that if someone was to catch us weak, quote unquote, that's the end of it. And at the end of the day, it's just like, that's human. That's humanity. So my hope is whoever is watching this, you've been blessed. And you can start the journey and understand that you're not alone, because there's so many other people that are struggling. And it's not only for women, because I tell you, even as a man, to hear this, to see this, to experience this, it adjusts my perspective because I've seen almost the meanness from women that are so independent, the alpha, the I'm going to control, and I'm not interested in fighting for power. Just like she mentioned, I don't care. So wherever you are, I hope this is helpful. And we just wanted to pop in and share some nuggets. And we thank y'all for watching. And maybe we'll come up with some other topics that we'll discuss. But
Yeah.
Jennifer, thank you so much.
We couldn't get live on Facebook, so we'll be putting this link in our Facebook feeds. So comment and we'll continue the conversation. Let's talk. This is so important to the next generation, to
Right.
ourselves. And it's taking that long view, right? In the short view, we're all surviving the day and the world's hard right now. But in the
Right.
long view, are we really working towards that which our heart desires?
Yep.
That's the question.
Thank you.
Love
So
you.
good, so true.
Always so much fun to geek
This was
out with
fun.
you.
This was fun. Thank you so much. Have a great, great rest of your day. And y'all have a
Absolutely.
fantastic day.
Thank you.
Peace.
Bye, everyone. I don't know how to end this.
Neither do I.
Okay, hang on. Live chat. That's not it. Maybe we just click X. Oh.